happy early New Year, everyone. Alongside Jerem Jordan, I am Spencer Linton. Joining us now and making his show debut is BYU football's new offensive line coach and run game coordinator. His name is TJ Woods. TJ, welcome officially to BYU Sports Nation.
Thanks, guys. It's great to be here. Can't tell you how excited I am.
I know BYU football fans are stoked for sure to see what you can do to help this offensive line get going. That's important and all, but we need to reference the fact that San Dimas High School football still rules, right?
There's no question. All day, every day. Absolutely.
You went there. Did you say that, like, growing up? You know, was that a thing?
Yeah. Mostly other people would joke with us, about it. But it's still something that, obviously, we're proud alums there at San Dimas, so
That's
we'll
awesome.
take it.
And we've talked about whoever BYU brings in, they need to look the part. I think you look the part, but I do need to ask you, because we've got varying photos of you. One, you're like smiling, you're looking happy. The other, you look very serious. What are the two moods in these two photos right here?
Well, I think that's TJ Woods and Coach Woods.
Very nice. Very nice.
I love that. Well, I'm guessing the smiling picture, you can correlate that with the work that you and the staff have done to get guys like Connor Pay and Braden Keim to come back. Huge gets. I feel like Connor Pay is probably the most undervalued member of the entire BYU football team. What was that like, taking the job and then trying to get those key parts to come back for your offensive line?
Well, I think, the first part in the landscape of college football right now is retention. And, those guys are good players. And I just kind of made sure I told them how excited I was to get an opportunity to help them develop a little bit more and maybe improve slightly in some of the facets of their game. And I think they were pretty receptive to that. But, I mean, listen, they're good players. And, I've been doing this long enough to know good players make good coaches. And so to have those guys back, I think, is a huge bonus for us and a great place to start to rebuild and to build this thing up for 2024.
Certainly there's familiarity with members of BYU's coaching staff, given you were with Gary Anderson at a couple of stops, 2015 notably with Kalani Sitake at Oregon State. How influential was kind of that season and getting to know Kalani for this job at BYU?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the coaching world in the state of Utah. And so, guys like Kalani, guys like A-Rod, Jay Hill, all three of those guys were guys that I looked up to as a young coach. And, so I kind of knew them before. And then obviously I knew what type of recruiters they were. I knew what type of coaches they were. And then when I had the chance to coach with Kalani for that 1 year, I really learned the type of man he is, the type of person he is. And that's, really what I mean, he's magnetic, right? And in my opinion, I've been doing this long enough now to know there's people in this world that are floats and there's people that are anchors. And to me, you want to surround yourself with people that build you up. And he's definitely one of those guys.
The new offensive line coach and run game coordinator for BYU football, TJ Woods, is on BYUSN. I'd like to give people an idea of just how quickly these things happen with coaching changes. So BYU loses their final regular season game. Their previous offensive line coach, Darryl Funk, is let go. So when did this become like a reality for you? How quickly after the end of the regular season were you in conversations with BYU?
I mean, I don't think it was overnight, but, it took through a couple days through the process. It was a little bit touch and go there because I was still here at Georgia Southern and wanted to make sure that, we finished things the right way here. But things move fast too, right? There's only a certain amount of these jobs out there and there's a lot of good coaches. And so when opportunity strikes, you got to jump and go. And especially for me, this one was a no-brainer for me with, my familiarity with the staff, but also the tradition and history here at BYU. I mean, it's something that I've always, even growing up, BYU is a national brand and it was an opportunity that I couldn't pass up.
BYU hasn't had a run game coordinator for a minute. You did this several times, notably at UNLV with Aiden Robbins, who BYU enjoyed this last year. What's that process like of what you'll do as run game coordinator in conjunction with Aaron Roderick as offensive coordinator?
Well, I mean, I think it's A-Rod's offense, right? And so that will not be, I think, changed at all. Or I mean, we're going to do what we do, but I do think that the bottom line for the run game is finding something that you can hang your hat on, something that you're good at. I think the couple of years prior, BYU was very good. In fact, a product of a lot of my studies in the off season and things like that, running wide zone and running mid zone and those type of things, but really having a bread and butter and, kind of, in my opinion, having something that it's not what they do, it's what we do and how we do it, and being really good at that. And in my experience, that's when you're the best. So, I think that's where I can kind of try to come and add some value to the staff in the run game. And obviously BYU runs the ball, man. That's what we'll be able to throw it off the run action and all that type of stuff. But if you can't run the ball, it's sometimes hard to manufacture points.
TJ Woods is on BYU Sports Nation, new offensive line coach and run game coordinator for the Cougars. You have a list of things I'm sure that you've already compiled, like, okay, I want to accomplish all these things before we get going. What's at the top of that list? What's number one on your agenda item list for this offensive line?
I mean, I think just getting to know the guys, getting in the trenches with them, really starting to build chemistry and trust, right? And I think that, trust is a two-way street. It starts with me, that those guys are going to have to trust me, and I'm going to have to trust them. And the only way to do that is to kind of get under the hood and get going. And I think, building that chemistry and the accountability and those type of things, that takes time, right? We're not dealing in seconds, we're dealing in seasons when it comes to that stuff. And trust is earned, it's not given. And, for me, that's the biggest thing. I think, the offensive line is the most important unit on the football team, right? And I say unit because you have to play together and you have to be close. You have to trust each other. You have to trust the guy next to you. You have to know when he's going to be there and when he's not. And in order to do that, that takes time, that takes repetition. So for me, that's really the number one thing, is just getting in there and getting going, getting to work.
The transfer portal is still open for a couple more days. How aggressive does the offensive line need to be in terms of bringing in a couple of guys, if that at all?
Well, I mean, I think, you're always looking to improve your roster, and that's something that we'll continue to look into. But at the same time, I think the most important thing is bringing the right people in. And when I say, it's people first, in my opinion. And so, we want to make sure that we're bringing the right folks in and that are going to fit, right? And for me, just speaking freely, some of that's a little bit tough right now, being, not being around the guys, getting a feel for them, and, understanding what fits. And then, trying to see what their skill sets are, right? I've spent a lot of time this break watching film and trying to dive into some of these guys' strengths and some of their, areas of growth. But I do think that's kind of the main thing, is just kind of getting going and getting in there and seeing. And then if we need to go to the transfer portal, we can. And if we don't, we might not need to. We'll kind of see where all that plays out as time goes on.
Coach, let's say it's a game day and you're on the sidelines. How would you explain your personality and coaching style in the heat of battle?
Yeah, I would say I'm emotional at times. I think, as I've grown up in this profession, I think I'm a little bit better in those settings. I think poise is of the utmost importance in those settings. But, I think as emotions go up, intelligence goes down sometimes. So especially as an offensive line coach. But I got some fire in my belly. I'm a fierce competitor. I think that's one thing that I know growing up, playing, coaching against BYU all those years. I mean, there's some fierce competitors. I was staying at the Provo Marriott a couple weeks ago, and I think I got the best night of sleep I've ever had in that thing, knowing that I don't have to go block, Ziggy Ansah or Kyle Van Noy or Dave Nixon or, all these guys that, so anyway, that part has been good.
Good pull, except for David Nixon. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. We love David. He's great. I noticed Iowa State was on your resume, obviously, as a player. You played in the Big 12. Now BYU's in the Big 12. Certainly the Cougars are hoping to do even better next year. What was your experience like in that league? And certainly it's evolved quite a bit into what will become a 16-team league next year without Texas and Oklahoma.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Big 12 is no joke. And, you know, in my opinion, it's a blend of the Big 10, and the Pac-12, the old Pac-12, I guess now. But it's a blend. You know, you have the skill on some of these teams that maybe the Pac-12 would have, but you also have the physicality that, you know, you get from the Big 10 or you know, some of those Midwest teams. And the other thing I'd say about the conference, man, there's no weeks off. You know, there's no kind of relaxing opponents, right? Every week you have to bring your A game, and I think that's something that you know we got to get up for the challenge on that week in and week out.
Coach, we'll finish with this. What's your timetable for arriving at BYU and then making what I'm sure is going to be a super easy move for you and your family from Georgia to Provo, Utah?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, but the timeline real quick. I'll be there right after the first of the year, so we're gonna watch the ball drop at home here and then get on a plane and get to work as soon as we can. But the move process, man. My wife Kelly, she's a rock star, so she's actually cleaning up the house right now, getting it ready to show and all that, and get moving, man. So we can't tell everybody how excited we are to get going.
Outstanding.
That mustache is honor code approved, so you can keep that.
Let's go. Let's go.
I love that. Yeah, I think the no beard it's gonna make me work on this double chin a little bit right here. I got some work there, and you know it's hard because I've got God's haircut here. So you know this is really it's the only freedom I got. You know.
Go. DJ, pleasure to talk to you. We too super excited to have you on campus here in Provo. And when you get back, or get to Provo rather, we'll make sure we save you a seat in Studio B and bring you in.
That'd be great, man. Anytime. Love to do it.
All right. Safe travels on the move, and shout out to your wife, Kelly, for all that she's doing.
Yes, sir. No doubt. TJ. My best recruit.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Nice. Well said. Thanks, Coach.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.